The 8-Minute Devotion is on a 12-week break for the summer. We'll be back with brand new episodes on September 9th. Until then, enjoy this episode from our classic I Am series, first recorded back in 2019. God bless and have a great summer.
Yo, 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 welcome back to the 8-Minute Devotion. So glad you can join us. This is our Thursday episode, and we're looking at the last of the 7 I Ams in the Gospel of John. Jesus said, I am the true vine. And as the true vine, there are several things that Jesus does for us that we'll be looking at the next few days. The first one that we're going to see is this: the true vine prunes us. The true vine prunes us. We see this in verse 1. Jesus said that the Father is the vine dresser. Then in verse 2, Jesus said of John 15, verse 2, every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he takes away, and every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes, that it may bear more fruit. Well, what is pruning? Pruning isn't necessarily a concept we're all familiar with on a daily basis. And, we don't, most of us don't live on farms. Most of us don't live off the land. We may not be as familiar with pruning as Jesus's original listeners. But pruning means this. Pruning is to trim a tree, bush, or shrub by cutting away dead or overgrown branches or stems, especially to increase fruitfulness and growth. So pruning is the process where you trim the tree, the bush, the shrub. You cut away the dead branches, you cut away the overgrown branches or stems, and you do that to increase the fruitfulness and growth of the healthy branches, of the living branches, of the fruitful branches. You cut away the unfruitful so that more nutrients and more life will come to the fruitful branches, and you'll increase the productivity of your tree or your bush, whatever it may be. You see, if you don't prune a tree, the unproductive branches will continue to take nutrients away from the fruitful ones. So the life of the tree, the vitality of the tree will not be spreading only to the fruitful branches. It will also go to the dead branches, and it doesn't benefit anyone then. The dead don't suddenly become fruitful. Just the fruitful ones become less and less fruitful. So by pruning, you multiply the fruit of the healthy branches. You see, Jesus says to us as the true vine, he prunes us. So that's what pruning is spiritually, naturally. That's what pruning is in the natural. So then what is it spiritually? When Jesus talks about pruning us, every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes that it may bear more fruit. You see, Jesus prunes away what is dead in our lives in order to make room for what is bringing life. Jesus will lead us to cut away. Jesus will cut away those parts of our life that are not fruitful. He'll cut away, of course, the sinful areas of our life. He cuts away as we submit to him, as we yield to him. He cuts away those areas, the unproductive areas of our life. They may not be explicitly sinful, but ways that we waste our time, ways that we are unfruitful. As we grow in the Lord, as we continue to walk with the Lord, he prunes more and more of these unfruitful areas, even ways that we have walked that, they weren't done out of a bad motivation. They may have been ideas that we had that we wanted to try for the Lord. Over time, we see they're not fruitful. The Lord will cut those things away as well. The Lord desires fruitfulness from his people. And because he desires and even commands fruitfulness, he doesn't leave us on our own to be fruitful. He takes an active role in helping us by cutting away that which is dead, by cutting away that which is not fruitful. You notice it said in verse 2, every branch that does not bear fruit, he takes away. If there is no fruit in our lives, he takes us away. If we're not abiding in him, not obeying him, if we are rejecting his grace over and over, he takes us away. He's not going to play games. He requires fruit in our lives. He understands our weaknesses. Definitely none of this is to say that, well, if you're not fruitful for a week, if you go in a wrong direction, if you waste an hour of time, the Lord is going to cut you away and punish you. No, he understands our weaknesses. He knows our need for grace and mercy. But what it does show us is that if in time we set our feet to continually reject his pruning, to continually disobey him, to continually live a life with no fruit, It shows that our faith, it shows something's very wrong with our faith, very wrong with our hearts, and we can reach a point where that faith is no longer there. We're not walking with the Lord, and every branch that does not bear fruit, He takes away. He will cut away unproductive areas of our lives. If we will yield to Him and submit to Him, He will do whatever needs to happen so that we can be fruitful. We know the story in Mark 11 where Jesus cursed the unfit, fruitful fig tree. You remember He saw the fig tree. There was no figs on it, so He cursed the tree. They came back the next week, and the tree was dead, and the disciples marveled. But Jesus made it clear He expects fruit, and the reason He cursed the fig tree, there was no fruit. And an unfruitful fig tree, all it's going to do is take away the life from the living one. So He cursed that tree. He got rid of that which was not bringing life. So once again, we just need to submit to the Lord in our lives and say, Lord, prune me. Lord, cut away anything that needs to be cut away. You see, if we pray that prayer, if we come to the Lord with a pure heart, He will cut away unproductive areas of our lives. Every branch that does bear fruit, and I trust that your life is bearing fruit, He prunes. You know, the dead areas in our lives, He will cut away. Things we're doing out of selfish ambition, things that will lead to a dead end, things that are foolish, He will cut away. And I just want to encourage you, allow the Lord to cut even when it hurts. Allow the Lord to cut things away even when it's painful. I know in my own life, there have been areas of my life that the Lord really pruned me. Different seasons when I went through more intense pruning, when the Lord cut away different entertainment. The Lord cut away different ways I spent my time. The Lord cut away different pursuits that I had. But I tell you, it was painful in the moment. When those things are cut away, there is a death, there is a pain, there is an uncomfortable process. But though it's painful in the moment, I tell you, once I allowed the Lord to cut those things away, such life came on the other side of the pruning. Such encouragement came. Such joy came. Such victory came. Yes, it's painful to be pruned. It's painful to have things that you have long done, things that perhaps you enjoy. It's painful to have those things cut away. But oh, there's life. There is encouragement. There is hope. There is a closeness to the Lord. There's a walk with the Lord so much greater than anything that gets cut, than anything that you think you've lost. There is so much more on the other side. Allow the Lord to cut. Allow the Lord to put away childish things so that true life can come and so that your fruit can expand, so your fruit can multiply, so your fruit can explode in every direction. As the Lord ministers to you, that fruit can overflow to others. Others can be encouraged. Others can be built up as you are pruned. More and more life comes through you. The true vine prunes us. He does it for our own good. Thank you for listening. We'll be back tomorrow on the 8-Minute Devotion.
Thank you for listening to the 8-Minute Devotion. We trust you've been encouraged and blessed today. Please subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or by visiting the8minutedevotion.podbean.com. For questions or comments, please email us at the8minutedevotion@gmail.com or visit our Facebook page. We would love to hear from you.